Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to our video series on how to make a printed circuit board using Diptrace. This is part 3, where we'll take our schematic, which we made in video 2, and convert it to a printed circuit board. So how we'll do this, we're going to go up to File, and select Convert to PCB. So what this does is it takes all of our connections that we've made in this schematic here, and it will automatically transfer them to our PCB layout in the next part of the program. Just click OK to this, use schematic rules, yes. And here's what shows up. Now it looks fairly similar to the other screen, but this part of the program is actually fairly different. So I'm going to start with a couple basic things. You'll notice that all of my parts have renamed themselves U2 and 4 and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to go up to View, and in this program it's called Component Markings. Basically the same thing. Go to Main, go to Value, and then we get all our values popping up, so we know which part actually belongs in which place. The next part that we need to do is that we are going to connect all of these pins which need connecting using a tool called an auto router. But before we use that, we need to change a couple of the settings for the auto router to make sure it gives us what we want. So the first setting is go to Current Auto Router and make sure you have Grid Router selected. The next one that you need to do is go to Auto Router Setup, and what will show up for you is probably a screen that looks like this, where Use All Layers is checked. We want to uncheck that. Make sure that we're only using one layer for this. Using 2 layers is something more advanced electronics components use. Our copper boards only come with copper on one side, so we can only use one side. Hit OK to that. Next, go to Route, and the last thing we got to do is Route Setup. So what we need to change here is the trace width and the trace clearance. So the trace width, this means basically this is the size of copper that we're going to have left over. So we're printing this schematic onto a piece of copper. We're going to put it in an etching tank full of acid, and the acid's going to eat away everything but these lines that we make. And it's a solid board of copper, so we may as well make these trace widths as wide as we can and not eat up more copper than we have to. So I'm going to make this, let's say, 0.04 inches. That should be wide enough for what we're doing. And then the trace clearance is basically the same thing, but this is the space in between our copper, how close together we can get all of our components. So we're going to make that, let's say, 0.02 inches, and that should give us enough of an air gap to make sure that our circuit doesn't start shorting out on us. So hit OK to that. Okay, so I think we'll leave it off here, and we'll pick up actually moving these components around and running the auto router in the next video.